Okay, welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. I am Illeagle86, one of your hosts, and we are joined today by a special guest. So we have 4 people around the proverbial round table of the knights. I'm Illeagle86, as I mentioned. I'm, of course, here with Techtic and Nerdbomber as ever, but we are lucky to be joined by one of our Patreon producers, Mr. Stephen Keller. Stephen, I'm putting you on the spot, so get ready.
Uh-oh, I'm nervous.
Name one fun fact about yourself that people might not know. We'll all do this.
People that are listening probably don't know this one, but I have sang on stage with Shania Twain.
What?
That is awesome. I need to hear the story behind this.
I said a fun fact, not a mind-blowing fact. So, okay, was it Man, I Feel Like a Woman? And also, if so, did you feel like a woman?
No, it was You're Still the One.
Oh, that's a good one.
My,
that's a
so
bop.
that means the one.
Were you still having fun, or?
Wow, that's crazy, man. Okay, I'm still processing that last bit. See, the problem is, now I've set myself up for failure because I was like, oh, let's see what the new guys got, and now I have to say a fun fact about myself, which, obviously is not going to be I sang on stage with Shania Twain, nor anywhere near the caliber of that. Well, you blew us out of the water here.
I do have to know, though, how did this come to be, if you don't mind sharing the backstory?
In high school, I was a big fan. I had front row tickets, and I came with flowers, and she saw me singing in the front row and just called me up on stage.
Oh, that is awesome. That blows any concert experience I've ever had out of the water.
And unfortunately, it was before the YouTube era, so there's no video or anything of it.
Did you give her the flowers?
Yeah, I did.
Were they okay? Well, and now we're just grilling you about this, but this is too good of a story. Were they roses?
I think so. Yes.
Oh,
Classy.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you one thing for dang sure. If Shania's on Twitter, get ready for her to be tweeted at by the Online Warriors account saying, "Hey, one of our Patreons sang on stage with you once. You probably remember him. He gave you flowers."
Yeah. It was like 12 years ago.
Well, it
was a long time ago.
That's bananas, man. I'm trying to think, I'm going back through my mental Rolodex of, what's the closest contact I've ever had with a celebrity. Honestly, what keeps coming back into my head, he's not a celebrity, so it, doesn't count. But having Greg Edmonds on the show is, the closest I can think of to, having any contact with a famous person. I'm sure, I probably, went to training camp and got a football player's autograph once or something, but I was a kid. I don't remember that. My brother literally bumped into Ryan Gosling once and, didn't know it was him. So, kind of, by association.
Wait, so how did he know that it was Ryan Gosling eventually, though, if he didn't know that it was him?
Because he was walking away and his friend was like, dude, that was Ryan Gosling. So almost immediately after he learned that it was Ryan Gosling. But at the time he didn't know. Because I guess, celebrities, they go out and you don't know that it's them. They got sunglasses on, a ball cap. They don't want to be noticed, right? Most of the time. And I guess that was the mode in which Ryan Gosling was operating. I still think I would recognize him, but I guess if you're wearing the right stuff, it's hard to see. And also my brother, if you've never met him, which none of you, well, some of you have, but most of you haven't, he's oblivious to everything. So it doesn't surprise me that he bumped into him and didn't recognize him. But I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever met anyone more famous.
All right, I got a quick celebrity story.
Okay.
Then we can roll into the topics. So,
well, no, this is fun, but yeah, go ahead.
If those who know me, I don't care who you are. If someone wants me to talk to someone, I'll do it. Nerdbomber, on the other hand, is incredibly shy.
Oh, I do remember this.
So
That's true.
We're visiting Times Square, and we're hedging towards Central Park. And
you saw a famous person in Times Square. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so excited. Just keep going.
And on our way, Nerdbomber goes, "Hey, is that Judge Judy?" I go, "Yeah, that's Judge Judy." Do you want to meet Judge Judy? And she's like, no.
No, for some context though, I had been going through a phase where, because we were still in college at this point, and I had a
Judge
block
Judy
of time.
phase?
Yeah, I had a block of time in the middle of the day where I had no classes, but it wasn't enough time to really get into anything. So me and my roommates would watch Judge Judy, and then that would roll into Maury or something, and so we would watch that every single day.
Hour. Yeah, Judge Judy. I mean, she's like an institution. I think like there's like statistics about her where like she's the most on television person ever or something. It's like one of the like she has the most episodes syndicated of anything or something like that.
But she was super nice.
Yeah, sure enough, I go up there. I say, "Hey, would you mind taking a photo with this here person right here?" And super nice, friendly, loved it.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I bet she's like actually a sweet lady. It's like one of those things where she seems like a
Well, so like
old.
I expected her voice to be super like gruff, kind of like it is on TV and like critical, but she was
That's
so
an
sweet.
Everyone's
expectation.
grandma.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, okay. You did not sing on stage with Shania Twain, but
Yeah,
pretty-
not even close to the same, but yeah.
it's closer than I
definitely.
was. So good on you. Yeah. Well, we're not going to just talk about celebrity encounters today. Although, again, I guess I would say put that in our secret segments folder, but we kind of just drained it. So it'll be a secret segment within an episode, I guess. Today we need to talk about the Eternals because there was a new trailer that came out this past week. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Visions, I should say, because there was another new trailer for that came out this week that we're looking forward to talking about. And then, of course, Pokemon Presents live stream. There was a lot to get into there, which we'll get into in the back half of the show. But yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to have our Patreon producer here monitoring us. We see this as our kind of our audit, our periodic audit, where he decides if he's going to keep us on the air or not. So we'll check in with Steven at the end to see if he's going to pull the plug or not, because that is how it works, guys. This is basically like a job interview. So let's take it seriously. Okay, so Marvel's Eternals. Now, I have a couple things to say about this, but I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys first, in particular because the thing I want to really dive into was at the very end. You know, in general, this is very different to me. I think it's a very different thing that Marvel is doing. It's the word that came to mind predominantly for me was mythical. It's very mythical in such a way that I differentiate that from comic booky. It's much more like these are basically gods of people. And there's a lot to dive into there philosophically, but maybe let's not yet. I don't know. I'm going to kind of light the fires here by also saying on a superficial level, Richard Madden, which I think that's his name, Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. That guy's hot. I think I said this
100%.
the first time we talked about the first trailer for Eternals. Guess what? It hasn't changed. He is still hot. He's got like this Irish accent thing going on. He's like dreamy. And that was another, like, if I were to write things down while watching the trailer, I would have written that down. It's like, this guy's dreamy. We need to do something about that. But outside of what actors are dreamy and which ones are not, or maybe more about that, Steven, what did you think of the Marvel Eternals trailer 2, I think this was?
Yeah, I don't think I even watched the first trailer, so this is kind of the first taste I've seen of this movie. Kind of go back to what you kind of said earlier. One of the things I noted right away is it doesn't feel like a comic book movie to me. It feels kind of like a high sci-fi action movie, kind of like what Dune is kind of giving off. Like, it didn't give me a comic book feel, which I kind of appreciated.
Definitely.
It felt standalone. Didn't feel like kind of the bigger universe, even though they mentioned, the snap and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of felt more standalone, which I kind of liked.
Right.
I do like that they explained, because one of my biggest questions about how this movie was going to function, considering they are supposed to be like godlike mythical creatures, is like, where were they when the snap happened and all of the bad things that happened in the MCU up until this point? And I do like that they addressed that in this trailer so that you're going into the movie and you kind of know.
But they didn't explain, like, yeah, they address it, but that's not an explanation. That was one of the things and that's a nitpick.
Well,
but
that'll get explained more in the movie.
It'll be explained more in the movie, but the explanation here, which was we were told not to. It's like, well, okay, I was told not to eat 100 cookies and get fat, but I did.
Like, that's the whole marching order behind the Celestials, which the Celestials, if you don't know, are the race that created the Eternals to protect Earth from the Deviants. So it's just, that's their relationship. That's their role. And so
the Celestials also being Ego and, well, spoiler, I guess, but at this point, what's the spoiler in the Marvel Universe? Ego and Peter Quill also is part Celestial, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, come on.
So it's important to kind of understand the relationship, and I don't think that's bad at all. I think this is something that we're going to sort of see repeating time and time again as they continue to expand in the Marvel Universe, because each and every character that shows up, they have to have a backstory. They have to have an explanation of what the heck they were doing.
And I mean, I also don't think it's necessarily going to go unaddressed, because I mean, obviously, even in this little trailer, they kind of show that they're grappling with the fact that they've been on Earth protecting humans and they love the planet, they love the people they're protecting. And so I can bet that kind of moral quandary for all of these characters is definitely going to come into play for sure.
I want to know more about the sleep paralysis red giant demon with 6 eyes. So presumably that's a deviant. Right, that's what I took away from this.
Well, I think they were actually alluding that to be a celestial when that showed up. Yeah,
boy, it looked evil to me.
That was the thing that kind of told them not to do anything until.
Okay, well, if that thing told me not to do anything, I suppose I would listen, because wow. Okay, but the one thing I want to circle back to the very end of the trailer. There is a joke which Richard Madden's character says, "What is this table made of?" Vibranium, and he hits it. And then David Tyree Henry I think that's who it is like, "No, it's IKEA Fall Collection," or whatever. And it's a joke. This is a deeper conversation that I want to start, which is I am done with the Marvel jokes. I haven't found them funny for a while, and I've watched whole YouTube video. I think it was Every Frame a Painting or one of those like YouTube channels that kind of dives into movies. And it talked about this practice that Marvel repeatedly employs. I believe the term is bathos or bathos. It's that Greek word. Basically, repeatedly using humor to undercut serious moments, which, don't get me wrong, can work. But with Marvel now, it is so formulaic. And when it happens, I'm just like, oh gosh.
I'm with it. See, I'm with it because that's exactly how I live my life. There isn't a moment where there's a serious moment and I make an inappropriate joke. So, way to be relatable, Marvel.
And I mean, I can't really blame them too much because one of, obviously, their big competitors is DC. Yeah. And the thing that DC has constantly gotten knocked on is that they're too serious, they're too dark. And people want that humor to undercut some of the tension and the big moments. So if that's what people want, like, why would you stop doing it?
Also, I want to point out that joke specifically in that, per the comments that we just said, where this feels like a standalone sci-fi film, those type of comments are important to keep reminding you, this is part of the Marvel comic book universe,
sure.
i.e. Vibranium being mentioned.
But part of me, and the points you make, especially the ones about comparing it to the DC universe, I get that. I feel like I'm being sold to in those moments more than any other moment. Like, I just want to watch a movie and I don't want to feel like the movie is really trying so hard to impress upon me. Oh, this is fun and you're so glad you bought a ticket, you should buy another one. And like, it's moments like that if ever there was a time for Marvel to try taking itself seriously, this is it. I feel like, again, because it feels so different, it feels like Steven said, a Dune that is going to take itself super seriously and it's going to work. I don't know. It's tricky because, comic books are a comic environment and they're a cartoony environment. It's just, I'm getting tired of that humor and it's so pervasive. But it's always undercutting serious moments.
But the Eternals are a group of people with varying personalities. So I think it fits here. Whereas if you were to pick a super serious character, like let's say
Angelina Jolie's character, I can't see her giving like a glib one-liner. You know what I mean?
She's never been funny. She's never been funny ever. There's no way. Just from watching the trailer, you could tell. And yeah, I see where you're going, which is that each character has this kind of archetype. And like, if you're gonna cast, I think it's David Tyree Henry. I can't think of the actor's name, but the guy who says IKEA Fall Collection, he is a comic actor. So if you're gonna have a funny guy in the movie, it's gonna be him, and there's a role for that. I think it's not even so much the jokes; it's when they happen. Again, it's like the example that was used in this YouTube video I'm talking about is in Doctor Strange. If you've seen that movie, there is this point where Doctor Strange is like gearing up to go fight the final battle, and he puts the cloak of levitation on or whatever it's called, and he like pops the collar and like acts all cool and like serious and like resolved, and it's like there's an emotional musical swell and there's this big moment, and then the cloak tries to hug him and it's funny, but it's not that funny, and it's just like it bothers me because it undercuts moment. Like it's afraid to take itself seriously. The movie's afraid to take itself seriously, and it escapes moments like that with jokes.
I mean, it's kind of the state of the action movie industry, though. And you
Sure.
guys definitely let me know if I'm wrong here, but you look at your leading men, even outside of the MCU. I mean, Chris Pratt with a ton of action movies under his belt, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, those are two of the funniest guys in the industry right now, and they're usually now portraying your leading man action role in a lot of the movies. And
Even Dwayne Johnson, right? Where
I mean, The Rock is hilarious.
he's had really funny moments, and he clearly knows how to play to an audience in a comedic way, and that is why he's so successful. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that. It's just, I think it's the way that Marvel uses it. And I know we're getting really off track from Eternals now, but it's those like, here's this movie, here's the title. Oh, and also here's a joke, so you know what you're getting into. And I'm like, I don't want to get into that. Like, I want it to stand on its own as something that can take itself a little bit more seriously. I'm not saying you have to be dark and brooding and, blue filters on everything like DC is, but I don't know. It might be a me thing. It's just something that I wanted to mention, I guess. But yeah.
I will say, to Steven's point, like, this definitely felt like a turning point in the MCU. And not that the movies that we've gotten to this point haven't felt like they're progressing things forward, but they kind of haven't. Like, Black Widow was good, but it obviously was not progressing things forward since it took place back in time. And I feel like since Endgame, we haven't really gotten that pivotal, like, this is the next big step. And this finally feels like the next big step.
Right. It feels a little bit like maybe comic book movies in general, but especially Marvel movies. It's very hard, I think, for solo movies like Black Widow or like even like the Spider-Man movies to introduce any real tonal change. That has to come from the ensemble movies like Eternals and like various Avengers movies and even Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a few exceptions to that rule. Like, I think Thor Ragnarok was a big turning point, and that's still a solo movie. But Eternals is one of those kind of watershed moments for the franchise. And I don't know. I mean, in spite of what I've said about the sense of humor and not liking it, like, I think this is going to be the next big one. And I'm not saying, don't go see Shang-Chi or anything, but like, I don't know. This one's going to be big. I'm definitely going to see it, if only to see what happens. But I don't know. Steven, where are you at with this? Is this a go to the theater and watch it kind of situation for you, a wait until it comes out on video for you kind of deal?
Theaters are the only way I watch movies, so yeah, I'll see it in theaters opening night.
Opening night.
I'm one of those snobs. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a snob thing. It's just, you go. It's an experience, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to get theater quality experience at home, no matter how good your TV is. This likely will be a theater situation for me as well. And, perhaps a triumphant return to theaters. I haven't been in a while. But yeah, in spite of my misgivings, it looks super cool. Kumail Nanjiani's steroid jaw is something to behold. I know I'm really zoning in on people's looks, but like, you can, like, if you find
the Eternals attractive, basically. You're going to be swooning the entire movie.
Well, no. So in this case, I am not saying that his steroid jaw is attractive. I'm saying that it's a little bit obtrusive. Like, knowing what Kumail Nanjiani looks like or looked like before this, and now seeing him like this, even just in the face, you're like, wow. And like,
I mean, it's impressive
necessarily in a good way.
But I feel bad for what his diet must have been like for the last like 2 or whatever years, trying to make himself
horrible.
look good for this movie.
Yeah. I like, and it's, it's like Jonah Hill was like that, where like he lost a ton of weight and you're like, wow. And it's cool that they can make these transformations, but like,
but let's be honest,
Kumail
Red Guardian is the only realistic superhero.
Red Guardian was great. But like, I don't know. Kumail Nanjiani, I was like, this is a little weird. This is, again, it's just like the jaw. I don't even know how to describe it. But if you watch the trailer back and then like go watch a scene from The Big Sick or something, you're going to be like, what the heck happened to him?
I'm going to laugh so you know how the one she kept showing heat vision. I'm going to laugh when he has like a super bite or something added. And then you'll know.
I watched the trailer with someone and they said that was Richard Madden. And they were like, he looks like Cyclops' brother, which not Cable. I think they meant James Marsden, like the actor. And that was before he did any of the Cyclops-y stuff. And they were like, oh, wow, when he did that. So maybe he is. I don't know. They're in the same universe. I don't know anything about comics. I shouldn't speculate. But always a great thing to say on a nerd entertainment podcast. I don't know anything about comics.
That's why I'm here.
Nerdbomber, put that in the little Instagram blurb that we do, just to really tell people what this show is about. It's a nerd entertainment podcast operated by at least one person who doesn't know anything about nerd entertainment. So, Marvel's Eternals, when does that drop?
November 5th.
November 5th. Thank you, Steven. November 5th, that's coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, go watch the trailers if you haven't already. There's a lot of impressive visuals to be had, a lot of sweeping, like Steven said, kind of sci-fi-esque things going on. So feel free to check that out. Let's keep rolling in the trailer game on over to Star Wars Visions, which is completely different.
Did anyone else get sweaty out of excitement watching this?
Oh boy, I didn't get sweaty. I was in air conditioning when I watched this, though, so it could have been a temperature thing. Yeah, so we've talked about Visions on the podcast before when the first trailer dropped, in which the first trailer was really more of a talking to creators about what this was going to be. But what we got here was a much more, I guess...
inside look.
It was a better summary of what the actual visual experience is going to be, which of course is going to be varied amongst the different installments, but there's a lot to unpack here. The first thing I want to start with is actually back in the main movies, I believe it's episode 7, Kylo Ren, when he's first introduced, and again, this is not a spoiler, that movie's been out forever, get over it, he uses the Force to stop a laser bolt. I have to say, at the time, I was like, that's a little hokey. They're doing that again. At least one of these Visions installments is going to deal, it looks like, with Force manipulation of laser bolts. I want to get into that a little bit if we can. If we have
That's just it. I thought that was like next level.
It's cool.
That was awesome.
It's at the end of the day, the Force is matter manipulation, and I don't care if you're going to tell me that laser is light. Well, guess what? Light is still photons. It's still matter.
Photons. It's still matter. Yeah. And then I think you put your finger on it. I'm looking for someone to help make it make sense to me. And that's not saying I'm not a Star Wars expert, because I think I am. But like the Force is described as this, it's like the energy that binds all living things together, right? I don't know if I would describe it as a matter moving force, but in practice, that is exactly what it is. So it shouldn't be something that's hard for me to wrap my head around, but that is back.
Which, by the way, theoretically, if they can stop lasers, I just want to put this out there for any Star Wars creators, that means they can theoretically bend light. And if they can theoretically bend light, they can theoretically cloak themselves to prevent anyone from seeing them while seamlessly walking through a room. So keep that in mind, Star Wars creators.
So we see Force manipulation of laser bolts. I believe we see Force holding of a lightsaber. So there's a lot of creativity surrounding the Force here, which should come as no surprise. I mean, these are creators being given full license to go and do things, canon or not, with this universe. There's more to get into in specifics, but Steven, what's your takeaway here? What's your level of excitement? Were you sweaty? I said I was not, but Techtic was sweaty.
If you weren't sweaty, did my cloaking comment maybe get you sweaty? Because I'm getting sweatier the more I'm speaking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, I couldn't tell if I was excited because of what I was saying or because of the music. Because the music I thought was fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I really liked, just all the action sequences, and I liked how each episode, I'm guessing that it will end up being, it has a different animation style. It's not sticking to just one kind of cartoony anime style. It's kind of giving it different looks, which I kind of like how they're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even as someone who my anime experience, especially I think relative to the rest of the room here, is very limited.
You are not selling yourself today.
No, I'm not. It's crazy, and in a net positive way, I would say, to see Star Wars animeified. That's not a word, but I just made it one. And like you said, in multiple different ways, in multiple different styles. Every episode, you're going to get something different, which I think is super, super cool. What did we think of the lightsaber umbrella? That's what I'm going to call it. That's not what it is.
I literally said out loud, you gotta be kidding me. In like a positive, you gotta be kidding me. And the reason why is because the technology is very well known on how to create a lightsaber. It's not, one guy can do it. It's very well known in that lore. And so why wouldn't there be all these different pockets of people all over the galaxy doing different stuff with it?
Yeah.
And it's
kyber crystals, right? You need to find a crystal, basically.
This is now opening up the door to have that creativity shown to the world. And heck yeah, if you want a lightsaber umbrella, make a lightsaber umbrella. Because we've only seen kind of dud spud potato stuff. We've seen a dual-ended saber, and we've seen the crisscross nonsense.
Which, by the way, the dual blade saber, like, do you remember how crazy things were? And granted, it was episode 1. It was like Star Wars was coming back after like 30 years. But like, do you remember how crazy things got when the dual saber was like unveiled?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It was like
nuts.
mind-blowing.
People were going crazy. So like, yeah, theoretically, what is the next step of that? Because there surely is one. And maybe the answer is Mary Poppins lightsaber situation where you have an umbrella and you spin it around.
I'm just basically
cool.
what I want to see. I want 4 turtles that are exposed to radioactive waste in lightsaber form. So I want all of their weapons. Period.
Well, I think what gets me excited about, seeing the new lightsaber style, and then even just all of these different art styles and interpretations of the Star Wars universe, is like maybe this will open it up. We've always just kind of had like canon Star Wars stuff, like even with all of the different books and animation series and games and stuff. Yeah, it's all kind of like the same galaxy, the same general focus of characters for the most part. And having stuff like this could open up into like, hey, maybe enough people like this episode of Visions enough that we allow this creator to expand upon this and make an entire series and make a more in-depth look at this umbrella lightsaber universe. Yeah, and then make it canon. Because it is, like to Techtic's point, we only see kind of like a small bit of the galaxy, and galaxies are huge, man. Let's go out there. Let's see what people bring to the table. There's so much fan lore out there, and why not see what's out there?
Let's get a guitar lightsaber.
And that's like, and honestly, that's what you're describing, Nerdbomber, is like when The Mandalorian first came out. I was like, this is it. This is this great time at which we finally get away from known characters and away from the Skywalkers and away from the Jedi. And I was like, heck yes. And then they were like, oh, you know what?
2 happened.
Yeah. They were like, you know what? Actually, though, like all Skywalker all the time, baby. And like all Jedi all the time. And like, and that was great in its own way. Don't get me wrong. We've talked about The Mandalorian on this podcast positively pretty much throughout its run. But I want Star Wars Visions to do one of 2 things, one of them being, like you said, get away from all of that entirely and do your own thing. Or 2, the completely different option is, deal in that universe, but like, I want to see you freaking kill Grogu or something. Like do something super, super bold is my point. Killing Grogu is not a good example, but like, kill somebody that is a beloved, like...
There's a huge opportunity, though, to that point, to really do some crazy things. And for example, the Avatar is a cherished show. And when bloodbending was introduced as a subset of waterbending, people were just like, wow, waterbending just got real dark and blown away by it. Well, the same can be done by the Force, Are we going to see literal people ripped in half? Instead of just the Force choke. I mean, come on. Right.
That's a good point, too. Make it more, I don't want to say bloody because that's crass,
but do it.
Like you said, what are the limits of the Force? What are the limits of the dark side? Because especially now, like, we're just watching like Disney movies, basically. We don't know what the limit, like the closest we got to seeing the limit of the dark side of the Force was Anakin killing the younglings, right? Spoiler alert again, but come on. You're kidding me at this point. I rip somebody in half. That's a really good point. That speaks to me.
We've also seen, as I mentioned with the laser manipulation, other things that Kylo Ren did that was just kind of like way, way more powerful than his predecessors. And that's, they've physically teleported mentally somehow lightsabers.
Yeah.
Let's see more of that nonsense.
We're just dropping spoilers everywhere. I mean, again, I don't think any of these are spoilers, but like, if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, maybe pause the podcast and like go do that. But yeah, I don't know. Steven, other visual or plot hints that stuck out to you here? I mean, like, there's a lot to absorb. in addition to the soundtrack and the visuals. Anything jump out besides the umbrella? Because that was big.
I think for me, the thing that just most stand out is what you guys have been talking about with, it's going to just be a new take. We're not stuck with Skywalkers, hopefully. Hopefully they don't introduce them anywhere in this.
Yeah, that family is too ingrained in what we know and love.
Yeah, I like seeing the new characters. I like that little, like the fox-looking character. Yeah. Like, I want to see more characters like that, new species, new stuff.
And I believe they hinted in the first trailer or somewhere that character is, I think they may have showed it in this trailer, isn't that character the one who inherits the lightsaber? So there's going to be, it's sad that like my first thought when that box was open and the lightsaber was there, like I was like, okay, which Skywalker's lightsaber is that? Because that's just where we always go, And you're like, do I recognize the hilt because the hilts are all recognizable in their own way? No, make it a new lightsaber. Make it even if you need to make it a character that we already know, make it like Kit Fisto or something, like a Jedi who's like you shouldn't even know his name unless you're like me and you had the action figure when you were a kid. You guys probably don't know who Kit Fisto is, and you're better off for it. But that's just it, though, right? So in Jedi Fallen Order, right, there were all these people that were a subset of Jedis that we never heard of in the movies that were exclusive to that game. And we want to be able to not hear about people that are mentioned, if that makes sense. Right.
I want people I've never heard of before, period.
Because you're less likely to know what they're going to do. Or what they have done.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily even think it's a knock on the existing Star Wars content or the Skywalkers or anything, but I think it just goes to show like people love this IP so much they want more that's diverse and different, Like you set up such a great world and everybody's just watching them not really take advantage of it up until this moment, and that's what we want.
When Rise of Skywalker, like doing a post-mortem on Rise of Skywalker, which would take an entire episode, I wanted so badly. So, okay, when you meet Kylo Ren and you ultimately realize he's a Solo, the writing is then on the wall that he is going to wind up good. That's just how Star Wars works, right? I wanted so badly in Rise of Skywalker for Rey to kill him, to like have to kill him because he was never going to be good. Like I want so badly a Star Wars property that is willing to surprise you and make the bold choice of like, okay, just because they're all Solos or Skywalkers or beloved characters, they have to wind up good. It's just written in the stars. Even Anakin Skywalker winds up good. Spoiler alert. No, not everyone winds up good. There are such thing as bad characters. There should be at least one Jedi that just collapses into, and I want it to be a Skywalker or a Solo, someone who should be good theoretically, wind up really bad. Like that would be a story I would love to see told, is like almost a Marvel what if scenario of like, what if Kylo Ren was as bad gets and he tried to go all the way with it? And it's those kinds of choices that I think this show could make, even, with established characters or unestablished characters. And I want that. Whether we get it, who knows? This is probably the best chance we'll get, at least, in the near future. But Star Wars Visions, September 22nd is when the first episode comes out. So be on the lookout for that. That, of course, is a Disney Plus situation. So if you don't have a Disney Plus account, now may be the time. Who knows?
I got one question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to watch the English dubbing, or are you going to watch the original Japanese?
The original Japanese, 100%.
The original Japanese. Yeah, this is a great question and something we should have talked about.
The vibes that the trailer gave, that was 100% Japanese, I don't think that it would do justice with an English dub. I really don't.
Because I watched both. Yeah, they have both trailers up.
I didn't even bother with the English dub one.
This is a general opinion of mine that, like, I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast before, but I don't know. And I can't remember the last time I watched something on television without subtitles. And
in general?
So for me, in general, we're a subtitle family.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. It's something that, I don't know if it's because I'm an old soul or if my hearing's bad, but like when subtitles aren't on, I'm annoyed. And so, but the point I'm getting to is like, that makes watching a movie in Japanese or watching a movie in French or whatever so much less of a mental jump and like so much more normalized for me that like, for me, it's not even a consideration. I'll watch them in the Japanese because that's how they were originally created. And that's how it's more likely to come across in its true form. And I will just put the subtitles on anyways, even if there is an English dub.
For me, I think it's a show-to-show basis. I think very rarely when a show is originally created in Japanese does it do well as an English dub. I think Dragon Ball Z and Digimon are an exception to that rule. I think those ones for me are much better with the English dub. But like I said, the vibes I got from this trailer, it feels like it'll be much better if I leave it as is.
Right. And the other thing you have to watch out for too is like, I think on the podcast I mentioned this is like a year or 2 years ago. We watched the show Dark on Netflix, which is originally in German, and we started with the English dub, and we had to turn it off because it was dreadful. Like the voice acting was dreadful, and like we couldn't even do it. We were like, this is unbearable. With animation, that's maybe a little bit less of a concern, but like why adulterate it with a different language than the one in which it was originally created? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Nerdbomber, you've been quiet. I don't know where you sit on this one, but
so I don't watch all of my shows with subtitles, but for stuff like this, I definitely do. I don't need to hear it in English.
That is all.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
That's all.
Very succinct, very concise. I appreciate that. So yeah, September 22nd, 2021, Disney Plus. Yeah, I'm gonna be talking about another Disney Plus property later in my What Are You Up To? So like I said, this might be the time to hop on the D Plus train if you haven't already. But for now, we're gonna step away for a short break. Shout out to sponsor. Before we do, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to our fantastic Patreon producers, one of whom is here with us. Stephen, we want to thank you in person, or as in person as we can be, for the continued support of the show. We want to thank you for being here, which is one of the perks you receive as a knight at our roundtable. Mr. Ben Checkness, also a Patreon producer, longtime producer, who will be joining us for a guest spot in the near future. As a result of their Patreon support at the highest level, they get this producer shout out, they get the guest spot. On occasion, they get input into the weekly game segment, which we have later, which I do not know what the topic is, and I don't want to know yet. And they also get, of course, access to our monthly secret segment and vlog. There's also a Squire level of support, which gives you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and the page, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. So for more of the details on all of those levels of support, I would implore you to head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Thanks again to Ben and to Stephen. Well, yeah, thank you, Stephen.
That's me.
And it's you. You're here. And we'll take a short break now to shout out a sponsor, and we'll be back to talk about Pokémon Presents.
Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Do you feel like you're stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. You can now enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there's something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. Hey, even I can make their tacos, and I am a terrible cook. You can ask Techtic. Go to the link in our show notes to get $80 off, including free shipping on HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit.
Cartoon Dumpster Dive.
I'm your host, Joel.
And I'm your host, Andrew. Join us as we travel back in time to watch the garbage cartoons from your past. Will you remember them? Maybe.
We painstakingly watch every episode of these cartoons to remind you that, hey, some things belong in the past.
Our pain is your entertainment. Thanks for tuning in.
Pokemon
I
Presents. And I don't even know why people say that. It's an O. It's clearly Pokemon, or at the very least Pokemon. And I think both of those pronunciations are just fine. But people say Pokemon. I don't know. I feel like my dad.
You're
said
the
it.
only
I don't know where I
one
got it.
who
Yeah, I think it's a
Pokemon.
boomer
No,
thing. I think boomers say Pokemon.
Yeah. It might have. Shout out to my dad. Hey, Dad. He doesn't listen, but if he did, he would know that I'm right.
My dad too said Pokemon, and he made it plural. It was Pokemans.
Oh gosh, that's another level beyond what my dad did. But Pokemon Presents, to pronounce it correctly, live stream event that announced a lot of new content, and really updates on already known about new content over the next 5 months. We're going to kind of run through all of those. Now, I will preface this by saying what most of you who have listened to the show for more than 5 seconds already know, which is that I don't really know much about Pokemon to the point that I call it Pokemon, although it's mostly.
But that's why Nerdbomber and Techtic are here.
That's why Nerdbomber and Techtic are here. They're gonna ferry you across this river along with Steven. I'm gonna be gently carried along by the tides, more than likely. So yeah, you three feel free to check in with me at any point to make sure I'm still breathing. But yeah, we got some Diamond and Pearl updates. We got Pokemon Legends. I don't even know how to pronounce the next word after that. So Techtic, take it away.
So the first one I want to talk about is the Diamond and Pearl remake. This looked absolutely fantastic. They've added a bunch of new features. And the first thing that I want to point out that got me super excited as a avid Rocket League fan was you can add stickers to your Pokeball, which after you release your Pokemon, it has sort of a goal explosion and just is super fun. I love that. Like I said, it reminded me of Rocket League goal explosions, and that was a great addition. The other thing that they added in Diamond and Pearl was each and every character, you can totally customize your clothing, which also that adds a nice little personal touch to the game, and it looks really good.
So, Steven, what is your experience with the Pokemon franchise as a whole, and specifically then Diamond and Pearl? Are you excited for this?
I have a confession to make. I love Nintendo and everything they do.
He's joining the team. Get over here.
Pokemon is the one thing I know nothing about.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I had Blue as a kid, and
It didn't do it for you?
I beat it, and that was it. And then I didn't touch it again until Ultra Sun, and I played maybe an hour of that. And then Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, I played about an hour of that.
You know,
You got a lot further than I did. So
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
But now
no.
Pokemon Go I'll play, but that's just because I'm on a walk with my dog, or we'll play with coworkers. But yeah, Pokemon it's nothing I do.
I'm glad you mentioned Pokemon Go because there was a number of app/Switch games mentioned as well in this release. And to that point, I'm not a big app game. And so the two games were
Pokemon Cafe Mix.
Cafe Mix.
And then Pokemon Masters EX. There were some updates to Pokemon Go as well. I think they're adding the Sword and Shield Pokemon to the title.
So
yeah, there was some new sheep and a squirrel when I played today.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That literally, so I still play Pokemon Go as well. And that little squirrel, I was like, what? I haven't played the Sword and Shield yet. It's just literally on my backlog. We own it and everything. And I'm like, what the hell is this squirrel thing? What are they doing to this game? And I got really upset about it, but I caught it nonetheless. And there's also a pigeon. What are you doing, pigeon? But those updates I was really excited about. We're going to see, legendary raids in Pokemon Go. So if you're still playing, look forward to those. But the other two games were just kind of meh for me as far as app games go, because at least Pokemon Go, it's something you do while you're doing something.
Well,
and so
Pokemon Unite is one of the other ones I forgot to mention. And that one's kind of neat because that's like more of like a multiplayer kind of ish game.
It's a MOBA.
Yeah. And so that's bringing something new to the Pokemon game genre, I guess. And I kind of understand where you're at, Steven, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to that have tried to get into the games and like the format just isn't for them. And not to completely pivot away from Diamond and Pearl and, all the app games, but the thing that I was most excited about was Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like, did that pique your interest? Because that is more of a, open world format type game. And yeah, there's still battles and stuff in there, but it's a little bit more of that exploration like we'd see in a Breath of the Wild. And I know it's getting a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild, but in terms of even just like the graphic style and a lot of the exploration and flight and riding Pokemon, like it kind of warrants that sort of comparison. Like, did that pique your interest?
That's the one where if anyone's going to make me tempted, that's the one that'll make me tempted to buy.
Right.
I'll probably wait until I see reviews to see actually how open worldy it is, because a lot of people are kind of what I've heard and read are kind of hesitant, that wondering how open world it is and how much content will be outside those little towns and what it is when you go out. So it'll all kind of depend, I think, on reviews and if it really is kind of that Breath of the Wild Pokemon that everyone's been clamoring for a while.
You can expect that to be a what are you up to Wednesday for me, because for me, That's a day one buy, man.
It's a great point because like the format of Pokemon, if you didn't like it when Pokemon Blue came out, just take a seat for the next 20 years. Like that is like, it's a little bit what happened with me. I feel like is like it's a bit of a shame, I think, because I know the IP is so strong, and I know that in order to have as much success as they've had, even though they've been doing the same game over and over again for a billion years, it has to have strong IP. And to be able to leverage that IP for something like an open world game or something that, like you said, stands to get my attention, that needed to be done sooner. And like at Pokemon Go, another great example of that, where when Pokemon Go came out, the summer it came out, which I think it would have been the summer of 2016, I remember what year it was because I also spent that summer traveling. I was somewhere else other than my typical home. I was doing an internship somewhere. And Pokemon Go being added to that experience made the place that I went feel like a different planet because it literally consumed society for a certain amount of time. I mean, it was all encompassing because, like you said, I think Techtic and Steven both said you did it while you were doing something else. You do it while you're walking your dog. And it's this effortless kind of thing that it's still it's basically the same format that Pokemon's been doing for so many years, but they put a little twist on it and made it more accessible. And maybe it's disingenuous to say that, like, Sword and Shield are the same as Red and Blue, and Gold and Silver are the same as Red and Blue, and Pearl and whatever are the same. But like
the underlying
the format
game mechanic
is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. The graphics are better. There's different Pokemon. That's like, my understanding of it is that's what you can expect. And there's comfort in that for the fans, no doubt. And it's a formula that I don't blame Nintendo for continuing to follow because it continues to work time and time again. But for new players, for people like Steven and me, Steven and I, to use the proper grammar, I don't know if anything's going to get me in at this point.
Well,
I have a disdain for Pokemon that's unfounded, but yeah.
That's the beauty of Legend of Arceus, because in my opinion, there is no barrier to entry on this game because it seems like something completely new. You don't really need to know the history. You don't need to know where they came from. It's just a grab bag of Pokemon that are going to be in the game. And
because this is Pokemon's history.
Well, there is a barrier to entry, which is it Arceus or Arceus? Because now I've heard you both pronounce it a different way. That's the barrier to entry for me. I need to know how to say it.
I'm going to say it how I say it.
Okay, silence. We don't know.
My point is...
Go Google that, people.
My point is, I think you can jump in, and I think the real thing that was making people hesitant was the game mechanics. And so if this is completely new, why not give it a shot? And like I said, this is a day one buy for me. At least I'm hoping. Wink, wink, shove, shove. It's my birthday month. Wink, shove.
We'll have to talk, Nerdbomber and I have to talk offline about who you're shoving and who you're winking at, but we'll sort that out.
But even I think even for people who do love the underlying game mechanic, like throughout this kind of preview, because this is the first time we've really seen like in-depth gameplay of it. They showed us some quick snippets in the last Pokemon Presents, but this is a lot more in-depth than what we saw before. And so obviously, yeah, you're getting a lot of that like stealth because you're trying to creep up on Pokemon, and this is in Pokemon lore. This is the first time really that humans and Pokemon are going to start like kind of integrating their lives together and interacting. And so you have to figure out how you want to approach wild Pokemon. Pokemon will attack you directly. You'll have to dodge them. We've never seen that in a game before. There's always been that buffer between, you've got your Pokemon out there battling other Pokemon. They're not coming at you directly.
Yes.
The one bummer
that's huge
is that they can come at you, they can attack you, but you can only really dodge and duck. You can't go and like punch a Pokemon in the face. That would have been awesome.
But then to like bring that traditional game mechanic back, like if you are in that situation, they did show like you can throw a Pokeball out there and then you do get back into that, traditional game mechanic. And even that, like they kind of refreshed a little bit. They added 2 new like methods of battle, because in the past when you were battling, obviously it's turn-based in the traditional games, and you don't really ever visibly see whose turn is next, and there's like speed stats and all that kind of stuff, and you're just kind of like buffering your stats hoping that you'll out buffer your opponent's Pokemon, but you don't actually know for a fact. And so they've introduced this like strong style and agile style, and you can actually see on the screen how that will impact the turn-based battle. And even that, I think just adding something new to the traditional mechanic might I don't know how much it'll spruce it up
So-
for people who don't like it in the first
Right.
place, but like at least it's something different.
Interview me, because I'm one of the like the thing about Pokemon. If you were to ask me what I don't like about the Pokemon games, I'm sure what happened was I picked up blue or red. I probably blue, because blue is my favorite color, and I played it, and I started it, and I went out and I found my first Pokemon, like a Pidgey or something, who knows, and I started to quote unquote fight it, and it's this turn-based thing that is A, slow as molasses, B, text-based, and C, if you say like fire punch, you know what you don't see? A fire punch.
Well, they've
You just hit
updated
it.
that.
Yeah,
in
there was
recent
like
game.
there was like a
Well,
fist
sure.
silhouette, and then there was like little embers.
But like, to me, what a game is, and also, by the way, like what real Pokemon combat would be like, it would not be, oh, you did this thing to me, I'm gonna take a minute to think about what to do, and you just stand there. Like it would be like playing an Arkham Asylum or playing button combos. If you are throwing a Pidgey out there,
So
and
then
the
I
Pidgey's gonna
recommend
fight a
Pokemon
something.
Tekken for you.
I didn't even know that existed.
That exists.
But like
Yeah.
but that's my point, is like it's the turn-based nature of it, and going beyond just the turn-based format, it's like, oh gosh, it felt so dry and academic to me at the time, and that feeling, whether or not justified, has persisted through 20 plus years of like Pokemon's existence. And if you're saying they may break, because like the thing you described of like, okay, you are going to try and catch Pokemon, and like you don't even have to use a Pokeball, you're just trying to catch something, and if you do use a Pokeball, it's different. Like that's what they should be doing, but like they've just, then they're in a tough spot, because then that's a betrayal of their core mechanic and of their fans, and like it's just, I'm not expecting them to change, and I'm not desperately looking to get in to Pokemon, but I am a little sad that I missed it. Like there's
Well,
a lot
we
of
are the Cool
my,
Kids Club, so you should be trying to get into this club.
yeah, oh no, a lot of these negative feelings that I'm mentioning, make no mistake, are driven by absolute bitterness of like, it was the thing for so long, and I just never was a part of it, and I made a conscious choice not to be, and I stand by that choice. But man, what a phenomenon.
Well, hey, January 22nd, 2022 might be your time to get in, because that's when this game comes out.
There you go, guys. January 22nd, 2022. There were other games that also probably had release dates listed.
Diamond and Pearl, November 19th.
There you go. Go check out all this info if you're a Pokemon fan, or I guess if you're not, and if you're looking to maybe get on the ground floor with Pokemon Legends, either Arceus or Arceus, we don't know. I guess that's not the ground floor either. That's like the 100th floor, but you're getting in
Also,
somewhere.
if you want to see a remake of Red and Gold again, the third remake or the third make, let me know on the
Gold and
Twitter.
Silver?
Because no, Red and Gold, those are the best ones. I don't care about
You mean
Silver,
blue?
and I don't care about Blue.
Blue is
Red.
superior. I mean, I'm pretty sure Steven said he had blue, so clearly
Yeah, I
blue
had
is
blue.
the best one.
Exactly.
I'll bet you the blue was a gift, and you didn't pick. If you picked, you would have picked red because it had Charizard on it.
Oh, blue's my favorite color.
There we go.
Blue-
Blue up the
Blue
way.
is blue is scientifically the best favorite color, so gotcha. I got your back on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pokemon Presents. Go check it out if you haven't already. A lot of Pokemon content to be devoured there, or Pokemon content if you're a dad or a mom. You have to be above a certain age to call it that, unless you're me. I have podcast host privileges. So this brings us to what are you up to? And of course, I'm going to turn it over to our guest host, Steven, to tell us what he's been up to. And you have a wide expanse of time to work within. Anything that's been happening to you over the past few months that you feel qualified and wanting to share,
Oh boy.
the floor is yours. Yeah, it's quite a space to explore it, but go for it.
I decided I think I'm going to go with these two indie games I've been playing over the last couple weeks. The first one I'll talk about is Axiom Verge 2, which I just kind of started playing, so I don't have too much to say about it, because it just came out a week ago after the Nintendo Indies Direct. And I don't know have any of you guys played the first Axiom Verge game?
I haven't.
not.
I wanted to. I just never got around to it.
So the first Axiom Verge game, for those that don't know, is it's just a Metroidvania indie style game that was developed by one guy. And with that game, you kind of have like a wide array of guns. You kind of have a weapon wheel that you can kind of switch between, and certain guns do different things to help you get through certain scenarios, and you just kind of acquire weapons throughout the game. But with Axiom Verge 2, which is, even though it's 2, it's a prequel to the first one, so they kind of do that weird, fun math there. It's more of a...
That's Common Core, I think.
Yeah. It's more of a melee-based game, so you don't have any guns, at least so far in the couple hours I've played. I don't have a gun, I just have like a pickaxe, and so it's all kind of melee-based, and I have a boomerang to kind of do kind of ranged attacks.
What a strange assortment of weapons, honestly.
Yeah, it is definitely a strange assortment.
Do you like the shift away from, having the guns to more of a melee style?
It makes me very frustrated because I feel like I'm dying more because I have to get up close. Mm-hmm. So like, there's been a couple of times playing where I'm like, I'm tempted to put the game down just because I wasn't really enjoying the combat. But I finally got to like a story beat, which kind of picked it up and kind of got me intrigued. So I kind of want to see where it goes now. But yeah, it did take a while to get used to. I think I kind of prefer the Metroid style like the first one was, where this one kind of, I guess, feels more like Castlevania.
With the boomerang, is the return time just very, very slow, so you can't even like...
You can call it back if you want. So if you hit the button again, it'll immediately come back to you.
So you could kind of go nuts with it like it's a gun, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like, so you can do the whole... So if you jump in the air, you can throw it down, you can throw it up, you can kind of throw it at angles, so you can kind of do some fun stuff with it. But it's not the normal attack button. I think it's A, so it just feels weird hitting it.
Yeah, just not intuitive.
So I'm mainly using the melee. And then in the first game, you also had this drone that you could throw out and kind of crawl through and get through tight scenarios. And in this game, they've kind of made that more of a utility. There's certain areas where like you have to use it, so you're using it a lot more, which is kind of fun. And that also just has a melee like chainsaw blade that it kind of throws out at you. So it's different. It's a lot different than the first game. But if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, I think it's worth giving a shot.
I love Metroid. Castlevania I don't really know much about, but Metroidvania games I think in general I'm a big fan of. So it's a strong endorsement.
Yeah, so it's pretty impressive for one guy kind of making these games. The story I don't understand, but I'm not really kind of playing it for the story. I'm just doing it more for the exploration and seeing what kind of fun power-ups I get.
Mm-hmm. It's so cool to me when these one-person studios pump out games like this. Obviously, Axiom Verge, you had more experience with and liked a little bit better, but like it's still so cool to me that one person can put a game together that people play. You know what I mean? Like It's just something cool to wrap my mind around. I love it.
It's pretty impressive to do, especially because I don't know the whole personal story, but he's got like a son, I think it is, or his daughter who's got some health issues. And so it's kind of like just him trying to raise money to help with her. And it's a pretty interesting story of that guy's just his own personal life too. So it's kind of fun just supporting him.
Right on. Axiom Verge and Axiom Verge 2 sound like recommendations on your part.
So the other one was one I just beat. It is called Dodgeball Academia.
Oh, I've heard so many good things about this.
Yeah, it came out like 2 weeks ago. I think it was probably right after that Xbox indie event that you guys talked about last week. Mm-hmm. And it's a sports RPG, kind of like, it gives off a lot of Golf Story vibes or the old school Mario Golf on the Game Boy kind of vibes. It's out on Xbox Game Pass, so that's how I played it. It's also on the Switch, PlayStation, and PC.
NBA Jam vibes when I Google it. That's one of the first headlines. Anime sports RPG with... I don't know. I didn't play NBA Jam.
I don't know if it would have NBA Jams. Maybe.
Maybe in terms of like animation style.
Yeah.
NBA Jam was the one where you could like do tricks, right? So I don't know. I'm just saying that because I Googled it first in the game. But go on.
So, with this game, you play as this kid named Otto who just starts going to this dodgeball school, and he gets just kind of thrown in. He doesn't have any friends,
as one does, going to the dodgeball school.
Yeah, he just apparently his family history is he's supposed to be going to a referee school, but he doesn't want to be a referee. He wants to be a dodgeball. So there's kind of a rift there with his dad that comes up often in the game.
You're from a long line of referees. How could you?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting when he gets into arguments with his father about being a referee.
That gives me like video game high school vibes. I don't know if this is probably a deep cut, and I don't know if any of you guys have watched that. I know Techtic, I've made him watch that, but
I've heard of it, but I think it's because of you. I've
Yeah.
never watched it because you told me to watch it, I'm sure, and I said I'm never going to watch it. That's what happened.
it was an old it started as a YouTube series of shorts basically about people going to not a dodgeball school, but a high school that, you know, they focused on one aspect of various esports to like hone their skills and become a professional esport player. I'm imagining that's what a dodgeball school would be like.
Yeah.
Again, as one does, going to esports school. If only. Cool. Right on. A couple indie game recommendations for you there from our good friend Steven. I'm going to go next here. I'm going to talk about just one thing, just give one recommendation. Guys, Marvel's What If is out now. Your boy is watching.
How are you liking it so far?
It is so cool. If you're a Marvel fan in any respect, there is something for you in it. I don't want to spoil anything because the best things about there's been 2 episodes so far. The best things about
no spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers on this one. This one legitimately there's spoiler danger, so I'm not going to spoil anything. But it is exactly what you think it's going to be, and exactly what we were hoping it would be based on the trailers that we talked about. It is so well executed. It is perfectly executed. Like, there are so many moments. Maybe I did talk about this on the show before, but if so, I'm talking about it again. There's so many moments where they exactly recreate shots in the first episode. Not really a spoiler because it's in the trailer. Peggy Carter becomes Captain Carter. Is like the whole shtick. There's more to it than that, and more things that I won't spoil. But in the transformation scene where she becomes Captain Carter, they exactly recreate shots from Captain America: The First Avenger, and just with like 2 people switched basically. And it's such a cool idea because it not only is it this exact manifestation of What If, but then last night I went back and watched Captain America: The First Avenger because it kind of revitalized remembering, oh man, that movie was great. I need to go back. Like, so it's a cool idea because it's inducing you to kind of retread stuff. The second episode is about Black Panther, which was also really cool. I would recommend checking that one out ASAP as possible. Big fan. It's also great to watch or use to revisit Marvel movies while you're packing boxes because I am moving. So that's like the other all-encompassing thing that's happening with my life right now. And also why I don't have much more to talk about other than that I'm packing and assembling boxes. Not in that order. You assemble the box first, then you pack the box. Otherwise, there's no box to pack. You guys know about boxes. I don't need to explain it. So Techtic, tell us what's been going on in your neck of the woods.
So Nerdbomber and I are always looking for couch co-op games we can play together, and we had recently picked up the game on Game Pass, The Ascent. It's sort of a God view type shooter.
Twin stick shooter.
Yeah, I only use the single stick though. I'm not a fan of.
He doesn't aim. He just shoots where he
I literally wherever
Spray and pray,
wherever my torso is aimed, that's where the gun is going. And kind of fun, kind of mindless. It's a good game to enjoy with a couch buddy.
The graphics are pretty neat, and it's kind of like a futuristic cyberpunky type aesthetic. So that's fun. It's a fun game.
Yeah, that's all I got. Nothing
Right
really
on.
right home about there.
Okay, well, you said it, not me. Nerdbomber, what's up with you?
I know I talked about it pretty extensively last week. I am still locked in the jaws of my Hades addiction. I just love it. I can't stop playing it. It's so bad. I'm like addicted. I was playing it the other evening, like my workday ended and Techtic was coming home. And so I had started playing like maybe half an hour before he started coming home. I remember that we paused and I ate dinner, and then like 11 o'clock suddenly was there, and I was just like, when did it become dark out? Like, what happened?
You know what? We've all been there. Guys, it's a miracle that Nerdbomber is even here right now.
Like, if I had to not play, actively decide to not play the game because I knew I would not be prepared to like come to this podcast recording, I'd probably be right up against the time when I need to show up and have not watched or researched anything for the show. It's such a good game.
And after this, it's burning the midnight oil. She's going to be doing it for like 6 hours. Keep us updated.
What's your favorite weapon?
So right now I'm kind of on a kick with the shield. but I kind of go back and forth. I alternate based on, the darkness perk that you get. So
Yeah.
I switch it up every run. But I powered up the shield, and I think I actually killed the shield a little bit for myself because I don't like the power up that I applied, and I can't figure out how to get rid of it. Because now instead of ping-ponging when you throw it and hitting all the different enemies, it just spins in one place until you call it back. And it is powerful, but I like having the action of hitting a bunch of people in a radius in front of me and having the quick recall, and I'm just not a fan. So I've started getting into the spear instead and having some pretty decent luck with that. I'm assuming, obviously you've played the game because I remember you told me to get it as well a while back, and now I get it. So what was your favorite build?
Oh, I think I always did the spear. I think I really liked the spear, or the fisticuffs. I just liked punching things.
It's also fun to say. That's my input, and never played the game.
And again, shout out to Nintendo. That's why they should add the ability to punch Pokemon.
Right.
Just put some Hades powers in there. Get some Hades weapons and Pokemon. But yeah, it's a fun game. I know both Techtic and Illeagle haven't played it yet, and you are just make sure you block out a week because you're gonna kiss your life away for a week when you're playing this game. It's so good.
Kiss your life away? Are you kissing this game?
At this point, I feel I don't know. I started playing it last week, and I have too many hours in it. When I count how much free time I actually have, it doesn't add up to how many hours I've put into the game. So I don't know.
So she must be spending time kissing it.
And fan fiction with the character. I'm sure there's plenty of people kissing the game.
There's a whole lot to unpack there, but let's
That's the
not.
cool thing about this game, though. For the most part, it's a roguelike, but there's so much cool lore and characterization, and there's so much story. You could play this game, I'm assuming, for hundreds of hours, and there'd still be finding story beats.
Yeah, I think there's a lot post-game after you beat the end, the main boss at the end. There's a lot of post-game story, just a relationship stuff building that you can do.
So basically all the new releases need to just put themselves on hold for a little bit so I can just keep playing this.
Right. So Nerdbomber has an addiction to feed. So let's move on to the quiz, which incidentally she's hosting, I believe.
I am. And the topic for today, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Trivia, and I was like, that's not right. But yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to be a rough. This is Techtic's game to win. I mean, Steven, you may also be.
Whoa!
But
Whoa!
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to be riding the back seat on this one.
You have no turtle power?
No turtle power. Never watched the show. Never read the books. Never any of that.
Wow.
I barely know the guys' names.
Seriously?
That should be the first quiz right there.
Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello, and I don't even know.
Are you serious?
Leonardo. They eat pizza. There's a rat. What's the rat's name? It begins with an S. It's like Screech or something. It's not Screech.
Screech?
This is going to be an absolute nightmare. Let's do it.
You're going to win this now because it's all going to be number based. You're going to win this.
What is the freaking rat's name? Why can't I think
Master
of it?
Splinter.
Splinter. Why did I think Screech?
You're probably thinking Shredder.
Shredder, yeah.
Shredder. Who's Shredder?
Okay, the main protagonist.
Protagonist or antagonist?
The bad guy.
Okay, the bad guy. Okay. No, let's just do it. I mean, if I win, it just invalidates our entire quiz system, and that's something I'm looking to do. So let's make it happen.
All right. So the first question is based on the 1990 live-action movie. So the turtle costumes were pretty cumbersome and slow. So how many frames per second did they shoot those scenes in?
Who goes first?
I'll go first. I'll go first. I'll give you all a fighting chance because I'm gonna crush this. Look, I don't even know if it's gonna be faster or slower than the usual frame rate, and I don't know the usual frame rate, so this is a bit of a crapshoot. If they're really cumbersome, presumably you would want to shoot fewer frames per second to make it look faster. So I'm going to say 20 frames per second.
Okay, we'll do, I guess, Techtic next, and then Steven will get the last up so you have the benefit.
20 seems actually kind of fast, I think. So I'm going to say 15.
Okay.
20 was my answer until you stole it.
Wow.
And
I'm doing great so far.
I'm going to go, I'm saying 5.
All right, so for all of that hullabaloo about how he didn't know anything about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right. I know about movies, though. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Illeagle gets this one right. So they shot dialogue scenes and the speech scenes and the fight scenes, all of that kind of stuff. Dialogue and speech are the same thing. I don't know why I said that twice. But they were shot at 23 frames per second and then played at the normal speed of 24 frames per second so that they would appear, like you said, faster and sharper because obviously the costumes were slowing the actors down and making it look kind of slow. So
Should have done the +1.
I know.
I thought the standard frames per second was 30, so it's a good thing I didn't just say 30. But yeah, no, I'll take the point. I mean, this is, like I said, my goal is to invalidate the entire quiz system. So let's soldier on.
All right, so the next one revolves around video games. How many Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games are in existence? And note, I'm not saying how many games did they appear in, how many like games with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the title exist.
So dedicated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games.
Yes, and we'll start this with Techtic, and then go Steven and then Illeagle.
I'm going to say 42.
The answer to everything, according to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I'm going 25.
This is going to be a high number, 54.
Okay, I feel like you've hacked into my notes app and you're reading over because the answer is 55 over a variety of consoles, arcade cabinets, and handheld devices. So like you pretty much gave no one a shot. It's happening.
The meme quiz is real. I literally called Master Splinter Screech. That was real. This is not scripted. Okay, I'm up 2-0.
Okay, you guys still have a chance. There's 4 more questions, so you guys both still have a chance to come back and put him back in his place. Third question is about the 1987 cartoon. James Avery, who is best known as Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, voiced Shredder, not Screech.
Screech, yeah.
How many seasons did he appear as the voice for the character?
I don't even know how many seasons it was on, so Steven's answer is going to be illuminating for me either way.
Can't see my room's dark and I can't see my box set behind me.
Oh my goodness, he's got visual aids. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3.
How many seasons was he in?
Which I'm already second guessing that.
I don't. Again, Steven didn't give away the ghost there. I don't even know how many seasons of the show there were. I was hoping he was gonna say. Oh boy, it's higher than 3. James Avery is a world-class actor. 6, almost the entire run of the show.
I wanted to guess 5, but with that guess, I'm going to do the +1 rule to try to eliminate
any chance that I win. It makes sense.
I'm going to do 7.
The +1 rule worked here. So there were 10 seasons total, and he acted through season 7. So Techtic gets a point. Right now, the total score is 2 for Illeagle, 1 for Techtic, and 0 for Steven. Steven, I have faith in you. You can come back from this.
So let's not gloss over that, by the way. I almost got it right again.
You did.
This is insane. Okay. Techtic can't one-up me this time, so... Actually, you can. You can exactly do that because I'm first. Okay, well, what's the next question?
We're going to pivot over to the comic books. And Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are the creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they actually printed the first copies of the comic book, the first issue, using their own personal money, tax returns, and a loan. How many copies of the comic book first run did they print?
Tax returns and a loan. How many copies of the first run? It's a cool 100, Bob. 100.
That's incorrect. The answer is 10,000 copies.
Way too high.
It's
sky high.
It's a low number, I think, because I think it was just at one comic book shop in New Hampshire area. I'm gonna go. What was Illeagle's guess?
I said 100.
I'm picturing a garage storage situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go an even 1,000.
All right, so Steven gets his first point here. They printed 3,000 copies of the first issue.
I almost said 4. That was
All right, so 2 to 1 to 1. 2 questions to go, correct,
2
Nerdbomber?
questions left. Yep.
So everyone's still in the game here.
It could go either way. Those first batch of copies, what was the record sale for one of those first print copies?
Are you saying like how much does it cost if
How
it was
much
sold
did it
today?
sell for? What was the record amount of money that a single copy of those first prints sold for?
Like on eBay, like an eBay situation? I'm not really
Well,
understanding.
typically,
Let's answer the question.
first
man.
edition comics sell to like collectors and comic
But like
shops.
so like not like the day of when they
No,
were-
like the record. How much has a single copy ever sold for all time?
Yeah, like the highest number one of those has ever sold.
If you haven't gathered, I don't want to answer this one wrong.
Yeah, you're really struggling just with the concept of the question, so I'm curious to see what you're going to say.
I'm gonna say $100,000.
I-
No, that's crazy. No. How much does a Charizard go for? I'm gonna say $50,000. Yes, that's what I'm going for.
All right, Steven.
My guess was, and I just said I hated him because I'm going to say $100,000.
It's more. It's 100% more. 250 large.
All right, Techtic, you went with your gut, and your gut treated you well. $88,000 was the record sale.
I just wanna
in
know-
2019.
My gut course corrected based on Pokemon sales. So I just want to put that out there.
All right,
Okay,
so right now, a rundown of our standings.
Right.
Techtic with 2, Illeagle with 2, and Steven with 1.
We
If
could
Steven
potentially
gets
have
the
a
next
three-way.
question right, we're going to have a 3-way tie. So Michael Bay produced a reboot of the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series in 2014, the movie series. How much did that movie pull into the box offices?
Okay, and Steven has first steps for this one, right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's a global box office.
I believe so, yes.
I'm going to say 300 million.
It's a strong guess. It's a very strong guess. I have to go with more because of foreign markets, but I don't think it's going to be much more. 450 million.
I'm gonna go with $1.
Guys, wipe your tears. Illegal is 1
Wow.
with a
Oh my
worldwide box office of $485 million. Illegal takes this question and this quiz.
again. Wow, nice. Quizzes are dumb. That's like what we've learned here is that if you just have a general sense of gamesmanship about quizzes, look, hey kids, don't study. You can do it. Just show up, and if you don't know anything about the concept, just pick C every time. You're bound to get a certain amount of the questions right that way. I thank Nerdbomber for putting that quiz together. I thank Steven for joining us, of course, on this very special episode of the Online Warriors podcast. Sorry, I feel like I have to apologize to you, Steven. You're very clearly an expert. You knew things about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I couldn't even fathom. And
Just watched a documentary like 2 weeks ago.
right. I apologize. There was no foul play involved. Let me assure you, it was pure
If
happenstance.
there was, I probably would have won.
But yeah, and also Steven, thank you so much for being here with us. It was a great pleasure having you on the show yet again. Hope to have you back sometime soon. Feel free to shout out your Twitter handle or anything you want to tell people about, or just, I don't know, that might be an influx of Twitter followers that you don't want. I don't really know how that works.
For the Twitter and Instagram folk that I'm on, it is Stevens_NES. It's kind of my new handle that I'm kind of posting all my nerdy things on. And that's Steven with a V. So yeah, Stevens_NES.
Well, there you go, folks.
Both those.
Go check out Stevens_NES for I think you said yourself, nerdy content. And I would think the listeners here would want more of that. So go check out Steven. Go check out any of us at OW Illeagle86, at OW Techtic, at OW Nerdbomber in our main show account, at Online Warriors 1. And let us know what you thought about Eternals, Visions, and Pokémon Presents, and about quizzes, because they've been called into question. And you know what? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you're so inclined. We look forward to any feedback. And also go out there and tell your arborist. You know, arborists, that's an underappreciated profession in this country. Tree trimmers, basically. I think arborist is a fancy term for tree trimmers, I think. I heard it the other day, and I wanted to bring it to the show. So go tell those people, and Have a great week, and we'll talk at y'all soon.